Welcome to the Automation Podcast, episode number 32. My name is Sean Tierney, your host, and today we're doing things a little bit differently. First, I'm going to apologize. I have a cold. I will try not to sniffle and sneeze and cough too much. Having said that out of the way, you can see we got a new place for the mic. We're hanging it from the ceiling. If you're watching from YouTube, you'll see this. If you're on iTunes or listening to the MP3, you won't. But last week I kept bumping into the microphone because it was on the desk. So the microphone is now hanging from the ceiling, and it won't get in the way of me and the camera for those viewing. I think that'll be better. Another thing I wanted to point out that we're doing differently is I'm actually wearing a new shirt here. What side? So you can see automationtutorials.com. That's a new website I've launched. I've had so many people tell me they love the articles on the automation blog so much that they're printing them out and using them at work. So that's good. Yeah, feel free to do that. The downside is you get more than the article. You get advertisements, you get sidebars, you get menus. So what I've done is I've reworked the most popular articles. I've made them into clean PDFs, and I've put them up on automationtutorials.com, and you can buy them starting at 99 cents a piece. Not all the articles are up there. So if you don't see the article you're looking for, I do have a page up there. It's called automationtutorials.com/request, where you can ask for a particular article to be put up on that site. And if you do, I'll turn it into a nice clean PDF and put it up there for you. Again, starting at 99 cents. The other thing I wanted to mention is there's just over a week left on my PLC Basics training course. So if you want to do some early shopping for the electrician or technician in your life, get them now. $20 and $40. That's the sale price when you use Fall 2015. That's the coupon code. And after Thanksgiving, I got to raise the price because we got to make some money. But it's on a special now. I wanted to offer it one more time at a super duper reduced price. So anybody out there who wants to learn PLCs, we got a 5-star rating over at Udemy, some great reviews. I try to go through things soup to nuts. So, it's not for somebody who knows how to program Allen Bradley PLCs. And but if you're new to Allen Bradley, I'll show you how to get the free software and free emulator and how to actually write programs using, at a minimum, bits and timers. The more extended course does counters and all kinds of other stuff. And you can actually buy the lessons individually. Just go to theautomationminute.com/videos, and I'll give you a link to that site. But that's just want to throw that out there because after Thanksgiving, the price is going way up. So if you know an electrician or a technician or engineer who's never played with PLCs before, this would be a great time to get the 5-star rated, 5 out of 5-star rated by. We get over 50 customers over at Udemy. It's only been up at Udemy for like a month and a half, maybe 2 months, and over 50 students up there. And again, use the code Fall 2015 to save money on the course. You have to do it before Thanksgiving Day, though. Then the price goes up. With that said, today we're going to focus on, just like the title of the podcast said, Automation Fair. This is the pre-Automation Fair 2015 show. And we're going to focus on two things: the cool products I wish I could go see at the show, and my picks if I was going to go, or if I was going to recommend a new user go and see some sessions. So we'll talk about that. And we're not going this year. It's my favorite, probably my favorite, besides TechEd, my favorite event of any event out there. And I just gone full time with the blog and the podcast and the YouTube channel. So the revenue's not there yet to sponsor a show like that. I mean, it's almost a week out of work, and there's substantial travel expenses. So hopefully next year. Depends on how many DVDs we sell and how many articles we sell, and if you hire me to do consulting or convert programs for you or whatever. But having said that, let's move right into Automation Fair, and the 3 products that I'm most interested in seeing or hearing about. And we'll start with Rockwell's new line of 5069 Compact I/O. We did a blog article on this last week, and it looks really cool. So let's kind of run down some of the things that we found out about this from from a piece of literature that Rockwell published. I don't know if they wanted to publish it early, but they did. So we read it. If you publish it, we're going to read it. And let's see what we find out. First of all, here's a picture of it. For those on YouTube who are watching, I also got a bigger picture, but let's run through the what we know so far. First of all, this line of remote I/O sits on Ethernet, okay? And they use a very unique approach to the Ethernet adapter, at least in my opinion. They combined the Ethernet adapter with a power supply. And on that power supply, you not only have a place to bring power for that Ethernet adapter / power supply, but you also have a place to bring field power, much like the Point I/O. The second thing about this is it's not limited to 16 modules like you would have with the compact I/O, right? It's the limit is actually 31 I/O modules. Not as big as the Point I/O, but the density of the I/O is much heavier here. So I imagine if it's not the same, you're going to get more I/O with this. And it's also a high-speed backplane. So it's hard to quantify that right now, but you know, the compact I/O we have today, the 1769, I believe the fastest we could get it to go was 1 millisecond RPI. I could be wrong about that, but there were limitations like with the L23 and the 1500. It wasn't even that fast if you had multiple modules. But you guys can fact check me on that if I'm wrong. But so this is going to be high speed, and that's very cool. So for those higher speed remote I/O applications. What else does it has? If you look at the front of the adapter, you can see it has one of those displays that just like the L71 has, or the EN2T has, where it can actually tell you what's going on. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it have a fault? So it can scroll a message across that, which I think is very cool. Also, on the bottom of the front of the unit, we have a USB port. Now, will that USB port get me out the Ethernet port and onto the entire network? I don't know. You would think it would. Or is it just to configure this unit and maybe the I/O card's connected to it? We'll have to wait and find out. But still, very, very cool. In addition to that, we have under the door, we have a SD slot, and three little rotary switches to dial in the last octet of the Ethernet IP address. So that's very cool. Don't know what the SD card's for. I'm assuming it's for the module's own configuration. So if maybe you set it to a non-standard IP address, you know, non-standard being not 192.168.1, that could be stored on the card, and if it died, you could pull the card and put it in a new one. But very cool, very interesting. It has the two Ethernet ports in the bottom, and supporting linear and ring DLR, and very cool indeed. Whole bunch of I/O cards, 16 digital in, 16 digital out, 8 analog in, 4 analog in universal, 4 and 8 analog out, relay as a isolated. I haven't seen this in a while. So they have a OW4i, and it's a 4-channel output relay isolated, is how they describe it. But they also have an OX4i, which if you're familiar with 1771, right? This seems very similar to that. I'm just going by memory here, but this OX4i is an output relay isolated 4-channel Form C, normally open, normally closed. I haven't seen that in a while in one of Rockwell's relay output cards, so that's interesting. Also, they're showing a high-speed counter, 2 axes with 4 digital outs built in, and then an FPD. So because you can bring field power into the adapter, there's an FPD module so that if you started off with DC power for your field power and then you needed to do some, let's say, relay modules with AC, you'd be able to bring that in with the FPD, and I'll show you that in a picture. Right now, there's only a brochure available. The brochure references a tech data sheet, but that tech data sheet, that link was dead when I wrote this article last week. So let's go to the picture of it for those of you watching on YouTube. You can see what it looks like, and pretty cool stuff. So 5069, I want to say 96, 5069, a new line of I/O. That'll probably be one of the big topics of conversation at Automation Fair, and you can find the literature at ab.com/literature. I believe that link still works. It's one of their better links. The next product I want to talk about, which I think everybody's excited about, or a lot of people are, is the well, we'll call it the 5580 line from ControlLogix, or the L8 line. I know marketing people at Rockwell don't like that term, but that's what we call it. L7, L8, L6. And this is a brand new processor that is 5 to 20 times faster than the L7. Not only that, this new processor has, they're saying 45% more capacity. So the L85E and the L83E both have a built-in gigabit Ethernet port. The L85E supports 300 nodes of Ethernet devices, while the L83 only supports 100 nodes. And the L85, I don't know about the L83. I don't know if it's the same. I didn't see it listed anywhere, but the L85 definitely supports 256 axes of motion. That's a lot of motion. That's a lot of axes. Not sure what the the cost update rates could be on those, but it would be cool. Imagine doing a project. I'd love to build like a giant mech, and 256 axes. That'd probably be enough. So, but I don't know if the performance would be there with one processor, but who knows? So as we said, 5 to 20 times faster than the L7. Don't know if the 5 is analog and the 20 is digital, or what that breakdown is, but hopefully we'll find out after Automation Fair. And they also say that these new L85 and L83E processors support digitally signed and encrypted firmware, change detection, and audit logging. Now, didn't we have all that in the L7? I'm missing something there, because I could have sworn that the L7 did have digitally signed firmware, change detection, and audit logging. I think the change detection and audit logging required the SD card. Could be wrong about that. I definitely know that for the L6. But yeah, I don't know. Encrypted firmware. Maybe the L7 is not encrypted, or maybe this is the same as the L7. If you know the answer, please let us know. Just hit the contact link up at the site, theautomationpodcast.com. Click on contact, or Insights in Automation. Click on contact and let me know. Or you can just comment right on this article that we're looking at that's on theautomationblog.com. But both processors do come with a 2 gigabyte secure digital SD card, and the L83 has 10 meg, while the L85 has 40 meg of memory. So, all right, why isn't it 8 and 32? I don't know, but that's good. It's good. It's more memory. It's probably more expensive though, because that does have that built-in 1 gigabyte Ethernet port, which is just huge. Now you don't have to buy a separate EN2T. You have Ethernet built right into the L85E or L83E. The other thing I want to point out, I'm going to pull up the picture for those of you on YouTube, is when I first saw a picture of this, I'm like, where does the SD card go? Right? You can't really tell looking at it from a distance that there is a cover there, and the cover, that the door that opens up, is actually goes over the key switch. So there's a hole in the door, and I'm describing this not for you guys on YouTube, but for you people on iTunes. There's a hole in the door that you open up that reveals the SD slot. So that was cool. That's different. So you can see here, you get the key switch, you get the same display as the L7. On the left-hand side, you'll notice that really huge heat sink. So I guess with more power, there's more heat. You can see the USB port, and you see the Ethernet port, and it's great because it's angled at I don't know, is that 30 degrees? It's at an angle anyways, so that, it's not coming directly out the front of the processor or directly under the bottom, which was always hard to see when you're plugging it in. So that's the L85E. Now, the last product, I don't actually have a picture of. I don't have a blog about it. Really don't know anything about it. When I did my research last week, the only thing I could find about it was in the Automation Fair information, and it's the Compact Guard Logic. The Compact Guard Logic is a product that it's a Compact Logix, 5370 or maybe 5380. Well, we don't know yet. But it has the ability to do safety. It's like a safety PLC built into your regular Logix PLC or PAC. for a lot of OEMs, it's going to be huge because using an L73S or, ControlLogic Safety PLC is price prohibitive. So if Rockwell's coming out with a newer, less expensive GuardLogix that actually can run Studio 5000 version 21 and up, that'll be really cool. Compact GuardLogix. Personally, I'm not a big safety guy. I've never been involved in a lot of safety programming or safety circuits, but I know a lot of people who are, especially OEMs on big systems. It can be a huge cost saver. I mean, there are many small systems that all you need is a safety relay, right? But in bigger systems, it does not make sense to have a separate PLC. You may look at the compact GuardLogix and say, "Wow, that's expensive," but look at the price of trying to maintain a second safety PLC. That can be just as expensive, if not more. And then there's ease of use. Just have everything in one processor. So that's the other one. I don't have a picture for you guys on YouTube, sorry. But that's the other product I would be excited to see if I were going. And if you are going, please send me your pictures. Tweet them to me. You can contact me via Insights and Automation using the contact link. And I'll send you my email if you have some pictures. I'd love to know what you liked at Automation Fair and what you saw. And even maybe get somebody to take a picture of you or take a selfie, and we'll show them on the show and with your permission, and we can even show them on the blog. But I'd love to get people who are listening to the show. Love to hear from you, what you liked, what you didn't like, what sessions you took, and please let me know because I won't be there. You will. So if you're going to be there, let me know what you see. So let's move on to the second part of the podcast where we talk about the sessions. I'm going to talk about the ones that I would either attend or recommend to new users. Again, the show's in a couple of days. The hands-on labs are hard to get into. They tell me they always keep some available open for on-site registration, but especially the first day, it's hard to get into them. But a lot of the sessions are technical sessions where you can stand in the background. If there's no chairs, you can stand in the background of the session and listen in. So let's cover those. I'll cover what I would pick. We'll start first with what I would like to attend or what I would recommend to experienced users. And the first three are what's new sessions. I always love finding out what's new. I love, just hearing about what's coming down the pike. It's one of the reasons I love listening to, news about CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, as well as E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo. So in Automation Fair, the What's New sessions at that, I just love hearing about what new technology is coming down the pike. So the three I would pick would be TO2, What's New in Logix. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of conversations there about the L85, L83E, the compact GuardLogix, Studio 28, which is required for, or Studio 5000 version 28, which is required for the L85E. Would love to know what's new in that. There's actually a whole separate section on that. T11, what's new in Studio 5000. So I imagine they'll talk about, kind of recap 24, 26, 27. Maybe they'll even give insight into why there's no 25 and why 26 and 27 came out so closely together. It seems like Microsoft and other big companies, when they add new features, they do a dot release. They don't always do, actually, now Microsoft and Apple, they're not even releasing anything besides 10, right? It's 10, and then it's going to be 10 point whatever for Infinity, if we are to believe their marketing people. But I think the biggest thing about T11, what's new in Studio 5000, would be what's new in V28. I'd love to know what's new in V28. Sometimes Rockwell will not put all the good stuff in the presentation they make available to the public. Maybe they're hiding things from the competition. I don't know. But, not being there, you're not probably not going to see everything in the publicly available document that's actually covered in the event. And that's sad. The last what's new, excuse me, I got a cold. I know I already said that. The last what's new session I'd love to go to is what's new in visualization, T14. They'll be talking, I'm sure, about the PanelView Plus 800. I'm sorry, the PanelView 800, PanelView Plus 7, and PanelView 5500. So I'd love to hear all the scuttlebutt about what's new on those three units. And, don't know if they're going to talk about 8.2 or 9.0 of FactoryTalk View. Don't know how many features they're going to talk about. Love to see the new Viewpoint 8.1 in action. I don't, my FactoryTalk View only goes up to 8.0 at the moment. So, so yeah, I'd love to see that in action. That's HTML5 now. It works with your smartphone and tablet, from what I'm told. So, would love to see that. One other session that's actually at the bottom of the list that I'd love to go to, it's a session about the PanelView 5500. And I love that. When I first saw that now, it was a few years ago, probably 5 years ago, 4 years ago, when I first did my hands-on with it. And View Designer in Studio 5000. And I loved it because it seemed like you could bind almost any property of any object to any tag. That is cool. Now, it wasn't everything, but it seemed like pretty much anything. And that was pretty cool. So I'd love to see that and get hands-on on that. And that, for some reason, that ended up at the bottom of the list here. Let me get you that number here. Scroll down. Yeah, that's Lab 17. Probably filled up day one. But in any case. Some more sessions I'd like to take a look at. TO8, modernize your control system. I would love to get some time to play with Rockwell's new input utility, PLC Slick 500 input utility to Logix. It is out. You can download it separately. You don't have to actually have the newest version of Logix to get that, which is cool, and it's free. So for those of us who don't have a Tech Connect currently, that's cool. And it's supposed to be a huge improvement, really a huge improvement. We have some blog articles on theautomationblog.com about workarounds with the old utility, which worked good, but had some issues. And, especially this is important too because, with the obsolescence of the Micrologix 1500 and Micrologix 1000 coming, they've added, from what I've read, they've added some Micrologix 1500 ease of import to the utility. So that's cool. That's very cool. Safety over Ethernet IP, with compact God Logix. I'm not a big safety guy. I'm really just a core PLC HMI SCADA guy. But I'd love to hear about this compact God Logix. I haven't been able to find anything yet on it. So that I would take that session, not because I'm involved in a lot of motion control or safety applications, but really predominantly just to find out about the new controller. I'm a bithead, sorry. There is a session T49 on discovering Plant PAX, library of process objects. Very cool. If you use ControlLogix or CompactLogix, and you do anything that's a little bit complicated, and you haven't looked at the process of the library of process objects, say it backwards, you should, because man, I'll tell you, if you do anything that's any kind of complex, they've done a lot of canned code and canned faceplates that really makes it easier. So things like, even just like an analog in or a motor. I mean, these add-on instructions have so many different features and options in them. You don't have to use any of them. They're ready to work with just the basic, in-outs when you drop them in. But there's all these extras built into them. So very cool. And hopefully this section would cover what's new, and not just be about not just be a rehash of what they showed last year. Hopefully not. But I'd love to see that, especially if it had new stuff. Now, I got a couple of third parties here that I've just been impressed with. T70 is a session by RF Ideas. And they just have some great products. They have great badges and authentication keys and all kinds of good stuff that a lot of people don't know about. And great little product. As a matter of fact, if you're from RF Ideas and you're listening, we would love to cover, send us some samples. We'd love to cover some of your products on the Automation Minute. But really cool stuff. So check it out. I especially like using their stuff in conjunction with, FactoryTalk View and Revelance from ACP. Think of a situation where you're carrying an iPad. Maybe you're a production manager. And as you walk up to the line, automatically your tablet or your iPad displays the production screen for that line. So you don't have to interrupt the operator or steal his screen to look at production numbers. With Revelance and some of the stuff from RF Ideas, you can do some cool things, location-based viewing of different things. So very, very cool. The other one is T17 EWAN. Ewan, I was given a cozy, a starter pack with a cozy in it. And I have to say, I was so impressed, just blown away with how easy it was to set that things up. Now, I've been using the Spectrum web port, Spectrum Controls web port for many years. Good product. The original product was based on the E1. It was clunky, hard to use. Spectrum's new web port is good. A lot of people push back with the annual contract because of the cloud features. There's no option to buy it without the cloud features, at least last time I checked. If you're from Spectrum Controls and that's changed, let me know. But the E1 didn't have that cloud. It was roughly the same price, but it didn't have that cloud service. So for OEMs, it was a much better deal. And man, the out of box, it was the easiest product, remote access product I've ever used. And the Rockwell Rad kits were really good. But I think this even beat it. They got everything down onto one piece of paper, two double-sided, but one page. Yeah, it was really easy to use. So just like to see what they're doing and get an idea of what's new with their product line. As far as another product, Panduit, don't laugh. I actually put that in the blog. Panduit has all this really cool stuff for Ethernet, physical stuff like locks and all kinds of little in-panel mounting patch panels for both copper and fiber. Just a lot of cool stuff. So I don't use a lot of what Panduit makes I'll never use, but I do love their Ethernet stuff. And maybe someday if I hook up with the Panduit rep, I can get some samples and show them to you on the show. But take my word for it, they have. If you need to do industrial Ethernet, they have almost everything you would need, plus some. I especially like how they can lock Ethernet cables into a jack. So you don't, for instance, you don't want anybody unplugging the processor if it's controlling, a dozen racks of I/O and, as many VFDs, right? And so you can actually lock those in and only let maintenance people yank those Ethernet jacks. So what else do we have here? Last one is L07. This is a lab. It's probably already full, but sensing your architecture with IO-Link. I think IO-Link is just really cool. I like to call it the heart of digital I/O, and that's probably a bad analogy, but I like it. So basically, the way IO-Link works, if you've never heard of it, is you have instead of a digital input card, you have a smart digital input card. And instead of just a regular photo eye or sensor, you have a smart photo eye and sensor. And both of these devices can act in dumb mode, in digital mode, on-off mode. However, when paired together, they can act in a smart mode where the photo eye can send back more than just on and off. And the sensor can send back more than just on and off. All kinds of good stuff. You can actually even do some profiles and send it down to the sensor. So you can say, hey, I'm using product. I'm making product 5. In product 5, it's a high. I'm going to get a higher gain back from the photo eye, so I need to adjust my range so I know if it's there or not. Versus product 4, where I get very little light back, so I'll need a much more sensitivity to trigger an on signal. So those are examples. I'm sure somebody who actually works with the sensors daily can give you a better example, but the really cool stuff, I would definitely check it out. There's a great IO-Link website by the organization who does IO-Link, and but I love to play with Rockwell's implementation, so that's why I recommend that lab. Now, if you're new, so we'll switch gears here. If you're new to Rockwell, here's the sessions I would recommend for you. The first one would be the L18 hands-on lab with what they call Studio 5000 and Logix Basics. So this is really for somebody who's never programmed ControlLogix before, and we've been running these labs. As a distributor specialist, I ran them for over a decade. Phenomenal. People usually like them. They're well written, well done, and highly recommend that. It's probably packed, but definitely worth it. If you ever see that, even at a TechEd or at a local RAOTM, or even if your local the Rockwell rep is doing that, it's usually top notch. L19 is the advanced lab for Logix, and that just takes off where the last one left off. So it may be over the head for some people, but experience it. At least open your eyes and know what you can do when you get better at it. Now, for most experienced users, you're probably better off not attending that class, but just looking through the lab book. If you're an experienced user, if you've already been programming, systems for a while, you probably can just read the lab book and get everything out of it that you'll need. You don't need to sit through the class. A lot of these I would go to and I would thumb through the book. In 10 minutes, I'd be out of the class just because, I don't need to sit there and type in, rungs. Just tell me what's new. I just need to see it and then I'll understand how to use it. So there's an introduction to this is L08. There's an introduction to the Plant PAX process system for operations and system engineering. That is a mouthful. Let's try it again. L08, introduction to the Plant PAX process system for operations and system engineering. Wow. I guess I would say if don't know what Plant PAX is, that you would go see that. And it's definitely worth your while if you're using ControlLogix or CompactLogix. The last one for the controls would be L12, Basic PLC Programming with the Micro 800. Highly recommend this. If you've used the SLC 500 and MicroLogix, you are not ready to use the Micro 800. It is different. It is, I've used the PLC 2 to PLC 5, the SLC 100, and everything since, and I still get frustrated and with the Micro 800. Although it's gotten better over the years, it has gotten better. But man, if you ever have to use one of these Micro 800s, this would be, even if you don't go to the course, get the lab book. There are just some basics you're going to want to look over because when you open that software, it is different. And I'll just leave it at that. And now the first HMI one we'll talk about is L16, Factory Talk View Machine Edition and Panel View Plus Introductory Lab. That's kind of self-explanatory. And I would highly recommend if you do that as a new user that you also do the Building Applications with Factory Talk View SE. You may say, well, I'm not the SCADA guy, I'm the HMI guy, but you know what? They're so similar, it's just going to open your eyes. And really, if you can do a Panel View Plus, you can do a Factory Talk View SE, at least a standalone or standalone runtime. Absolutely. They're very, very similar. So that's it. That's my list of what I would recommend to beginners who are going to Automation Fair. So again, if you're going to Automation Fair, I'd love to hear what you went to. Did you like it? Did you not like it? I'd love to see pictures, whether it's selfies or have somebody take a picture of your group, send them in to us. If you send me pictures, though, let's just go ahead and assume you're okay with me using them on the show and in the blog. But and if you have a suggestion for a future topic on the Automation Podcast, let me know that too, because I'd be more than happy to maybe address some of the topics that you want to hear about. But for now, that is it for this episode of the Automation Podcast. A couple of reminders: Automation Tutorials is now out and live. And if you have any articles that you would like me to turn into a nice clean PDF, or if you like the custom bundle before it's set up to do that automatically, just let me know. Just contact me. There's a form at automationtutorials.com/request where you can contact me about that. Also, only a week or so left. I think 8-9 days left on the sale. So if you know any electricians, technicians, engineers who want to learn PLCs, this is going to be the best price you'll ever see this course at. So check it out, theautomationschool.com, and you'll see both these courses up there. The Micro Programmable Controller Basics course, I renamed it to PLC Basics, and then of course we get the shorter one, PLC Core Basics. So $20 and $40 respectively, and use code FALL 2015, and you get a great deal on that. Then the price goes up after Thanksgiving Day. And with that, I think we're done. If you like the show, please subscribe to it. Please like it. Please comment on it. And feel free to contact me if you have any questions or opportunities. If for now, that's it for this episode of the Automation Podcast. Until next time, peace.